should be good.
All right, if everybody could please have a seat, please. I know you all have a lot of questions. Is he ready? He's ready? Is he ready? Is he ready? He's ready? So without further ado, we'd like to bring out Mr. Mike Valenti.
Okay, let's do the business. Sully, you moderate. Would you like to go to the gallery, or do you have something you would like to lead with?
I'm starting out first.
All right.
And then we can go to the phone.
Oh, look at Johnny Big Pipe over here. Okay.
I want to ask you this, and I wanted to get something about the point spread. I want to get to that later, though. Spartans, they've outgained each of their 4 opponents this season and outrushed 3 of them. Simply put, Mike, are people not giving that offense enough credit?
Oh, no. The offense isn't any good. And I've said it before. I mean, I think Don Brown is going to spank Dave Warner repeatedly. No, the offense just isn't good. The play calling isn't good. The sequencing isn't good. And flat out, they can't run the football, Mike. I mean, yeah, you outrush Bowling Green or you outrush Iowa. Congratulations. This Michigan defense is lights out. No, this offense, not good.
All right, one more quick question. Point spread, 13.5, 12.5 is what it was. Now it's down to 10, as we just mentioned last segment. Is that kind of what you were expecting it to be? You surprised by that number at all?
I thought it'd be 14 points. I mean, remember, it's not predictive analysis. It's about what Vegas has got to do to get people to bet on the game on both sides. The Michigan fan base is very powerful. It's very large. They love to bet on their team. I mean, you got to make it big enough where people would take State. I love it at 13 or something. I mean, down at 10, you're starting to make me nervous. 13 points? Yeah, I'm comfortable with that. I think State absolutely would keep it between 13.
Let's do one more than a phone call.
Okay.
Michigan State last week scored a quick 14 points against Iowa, then went cold from there. What specifically do your Spartans have to do in order to not stall like this and not have a stretch where they can't find the end zone?
Yeah, don't play to lose. I mean, the play calling changed. The mindset of D'Antonio changed. When they got to 14, they really believed defensively that they wouldn't give up more than 14 points to Iowa. I firmly believe that. When you look at the play calling, it speaks to that. That's trestle ball, Mike. So for me, it's simple. Don't take your foot off the gas. Now, against Michigan, you're going to have to try to stay on the field. You can't expose your defense all day. But, yeah, if you're going to just sit there and every first down, go run formation, predictive run down, and run the ball, you're not going to get anything. Michigan will eat you alive. All right, let's go to Peter, who has the microphone. Peter.
Hey, Mike. We talk about these defenses and how good they are and how inconsistent these offenses are. And I'm under the impression the first team to get to 14 to 17 points is going to win this game. Would you agree with that?
I do. Peter, I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I know the over-under is set at 40. I think 17 points would be fair. I certainly don't expect State to score more than 17. I think Michigan could late, but yes, 17 is the minimum it'll take to win. It might be the maximum these offenses can get to. Yes, let's go over to Todd in the press corps. Yes, Todd.
Hey, I was wondering, if Michigan State does beat Michigan this weekend, does that feel that Michigan is overhyped? And would that put MSU on the top 25 or not yet?
I mean, you know what? Listen, Todd, I'm being honest. I don't care about the rankings. Yes, it would mean Michigan's overhyped, and yes, State would be ranked. It doesn't mean anything because I think State ends up with 4 losses minimum if they beat Michigan, and I think Michigan would certainly be on track to lose at least 3 or 4 games as well. So what would it matter in the end other than bragging rights? Yes, Sully.
Let's do a question about Michigan now.
Yes.
In your opinion, how much can a bye week actually help a team, especially before a rivalry game like this, switching quarterbacks? Is this bye week something that you believe could really help Michigan, or is that not accurate?
If it was later in the season, it helps more. The earlier the bye week, the less it matters. But I think it's nice that they got a full week with O'Korn, first-string reps, and get themselves together to go into a rivalry game. It helps. It would mean more later in the year. Yes, Mike.
Turnovers, big issue for both teams. MSU, they've committed 8 already through 4 games. Michigan, 7 through 4 games. Fair to say, turnovers, that the key to this game?
Yeah, I mean, look, this is the no bleep comment of the day. Turnover battle, rushing battle. Whoever runs for more and turns it over less probably wins the game. That's how this series normally goes, by the way. Let's go over to Jordan out in the press corps. Jordan, you're up next.
Hey, Mike. Thanks for taking my question.
Yes.
Just a quick one for you.
Does L.J. Scott end up with more touchdowns or more fumbles at the end of the day?
I'll say a 0 for both. Let's go over to Scott next. Scotty in the press corps.
My question is, if it takes 17 for State to win, how do we move the ball? Do we sling it around, mix it up? How do we move the ball on that defense?
I still think the best way to do it, Scotty, you have to keep yourself out of 3rd and long, which means you're going to have to be a little more aggressive on 1st down. Controlled, short passing. Easy stuff, rhythm throws, and stuff that's not high risk. And even if you end up at 2nd and 6, that's a win. Turning around and handing it off on 1st down and having to be 2nd and 11, that's a loss. We go over to Ronnie up next in the press corps. Yes, Ronnie.
Hi, Mike. I was wondering, for this game and for the rest of the season, do you think Michigan has the best chance of being successful with John O'Corn under center?
I think it's their only option right now. From the sounds of it, Wilton Spade is going to be out a while. So, look, my point with O'Corn is, if he was so good, how did Spate beat him out once? Oh, and then beat him out again for the job. It's clear Wilton Spate was the starter for a reason. So O'Corn's got a lot to prove in that regard. Pardon me if I'm not going to pass out in fear after a half against Purdue. Yes, Sully.
How big of a safety concern do you think this night game is?
I mean, look, for people going to the game, it's going to be a bleep show. I never would have put this game at night, but that's what happens when Jim Delaney signs your soul to the devil and lets the networks dictate, and you only get to say no for a night game in November.
You know who leads Michigan State in rushing this year, Mike?
Brian Lewerke.
248 rushing yards through 4 weeks. You envision him being able to get that going on the ground against this Michigan defense or not?
Probably not. I think Devin Bush will kill him. Let's go over to KT in the press corps. KT, how are you?
Yeah, thanks for having me. The first comment is take the under. Forget about the point spread. If it's 40, it's definitely going to be under that. And how many? What's the number of points that Michigan State realistically will have to score to win this game?
I still think 17, somewhere in that range. I mean, look, if State's going to win this game, KT, here's how it works for me. Got to produce one offensive touchdown, couple of field goals, and then fill in that other box. A fumble, a pick six, a punt return. Something has to fall their way to get them over that threshold. I think if State could produce 13 offensive points on their own and then get a gift from Michigan on a short field or a pick six or a strip sack, and that gets you to 19 or 17 or 20, that's how it's going to have to look. Otherwise, they're not going to win the game. I think the Michigan defense is simply too good, and the State offense is simply too young to go out and expect anything more than that. Yes, Sully.
How about this one? Do you see the weather forecast favoring one team or the other on Saturday?
No, I think it's overblown. I think it'll be a clear path by the time the game kicks off at 7:30. If this was a 1 o'clock or noon kick, I think it'd be a mess. But it looks like the all clear for the PM hours. Let's go to Ron out in the press corps. Ron, how are you?
Hey, Mike, how you doing?
Good, buddy. What do you have?
Hey, so my question to you would be, as a Michigan State fan, just wondering, who do you think really needs it more? Is it Harbaugh, or do you think D'Antonio needs this game more than the other?
I mean, listen, neither coach is in any danger of losing their job. They both need it. I mean, for Harbaugh, you can't go out and lose to Michigan State and then presumably lose to OSU later in the year, be 1-5 against your rivals. For D'Antonio, you can't go from the college football playoff to not beating anybody anymore. I'll say they both need it. I'll let the fan bases argue who needs it slightly more. Let's go to Chris in the press corps. Chris, how are you?
Mike, doing great.
What do you have?
Could the interest in this rivalry be down a bit because of two things? One, neither of these teams is good enough to win the Big Ten and get to the playoff. And two, we have a professional football team that looks like a professional football team and might be an NFC contender.
Completely agree with you. Yes, yes, yes. Lions are in a position to win the division. Lions are in a position to host a playoff game. Lions are in a position to win a playoff game. Michigan and Michigan State in a position to probably do none of those things. We go to Andrew as we close this out. Andrew, go ahead. Final word.
Hey, Mike. So with the matchup between quarterbacks Lewerke and O'Corn, do you think that the matchup of Isaac and Scott is a bigger storyline, just knowing the way the rivalry has played out over the years?
Yeah, I said it earlier. I'll say it again, Andrew. Both of these offensive lines will be overmatched by the defensive line that they face. I think it's going to be very tough sledding out there, and neither of these teams is going to sit there and throw it 50 times. It's just not going to happen. I think it'll make for a frustrating game. I think it'll make for an ugly game. Yes, the running game and whoever can cobble yards together, or God forbid, just pop one big run, it could be a major factor. All right, Sully, that's all. I don't have time for any more of this. Our initial press conference, well done by the people. Michigan State, rapid fire.